The night I saw my husband's black SUV parked outside my sister's house, my whole body went cold. He had texted me just 20 minutes earlier saying, "Long meeting, babe. Don't wait up." But there it was, his car, right under her porch light. And that was the exact moment I realized the lie wasn't just about where he was. It was about who he had become. Before we dive into this wild betrayal story, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what would you do if you caught your partner at your own sister's house late at night? I wish I could say I trusted my husband completely before that night. For almost 8 years, Ethan and I had what everyone called the perfect marriage. We lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Chicago, had a beautiful little girl named Lily, and spent weekends doing normal family things. Movie nights, grocery runs, school events. From the outside we looked solid. But over the last few months something had changed. Ethan had started working late more and more. First it sounded believable. He had just gotten promoted at his finance job downtown, and extra hours made sense. But then the late nights became almost every night. He stopped eating dinner with us. He stopped helping Lily with homework. He barely looked at me when I talked. Whenever I asked if everything was okay, he'd kiss my forehead and say, "Just pressure at work, Claire. Once this project is over, I'll be back to normal." I wanted to believe him. Maybe I needed to. Because the truth was, the distance between us had become impossible to ignore. Then came that Thursday night. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch waiting for Ethan to come home. I carried her to bed, tucked her in, and went back downstairs to clean up the kitchen. That's when my phone buzzed. It was Ethan. "Meeting ran late. Might be here till midnight. Don't stay up." I stared at the message for a long moment. Something about it felt cold. Me. Like a copy and paste excuse. I suddenly remembered I had promised to drop off some soup for my younger sister Megan. She'd been sick all week and lived only 15 minutes away. So I grabbed the container from the fridge and headed out. The roads were quiet, the kind of stillness that makes your thoughts louder. By the time I pulled onto Megan Street, it was almost 10 p.m. That's when I saw it. A black SUV parked in front of her house. Ethan's SUV. I knew that car better than my own reflection. The tiny dent near the back bumper from when he hit our mailbox last winter. The company parking sticker in the corner of the windshield. There was no mistake. My hands tightened around the steering wheel so hard my knuckles hurt. First I tried to explain it away. Maybe Megan needed help. Maybe her sink broke. Maybe Ethan stopped by because I mentioned she was sick. But then a thought hit me so hard it made my stomach drop. Why would he lie about being at work? I parked half a block away and just sat there, staring. The porch light was on. The curtains in the living room were slightly open. And then I saw movement. A shadow crossed the room. Then another. 2 people. Too close. My breathing became shallow. I got out of the car before I could talk myself out of it. Every step toward the house felt unreal, like I was walking into someone else's nightmare. When I reached the window, I froze. Megan was standing in the living room, and Ethan was right in front of her. His hands were on her waist. Her hands were around his neck. And then he kissed her. Not a quick mistake. Not confusion. Kiss that looked practiced. Comfortable. Familiar. The container of soup slipped from my hands and crashed onto the porch. The sound was loud enough to break them apart. Megan's face turned white. Ethan spun around so fast he nearly stumbled. For a moment none of us spoke. Couldn't. I felt like all the air had been ripped out of my chest. Finally Ethan stepped toward the door. "Claire." I held up my hand. "No." My voice shook so badly it barely sounded like me. Megan opened the door slowly, tears already forming in her eyes. "Claire, please, it's not what it looks like." I laughed. A broken, ugly laugh. "Really?" said. "Because it looks exactly like my husband is sleeping with my sister." Ethan tried to step closer, but I backed away. "How long?" I whispered. Neither of them answered. That silence told me everything. I looked at Megan, the little sister I had protected my whole life. The one I helped through college after our parents died. The one Lily called Auntie Meg. You too, I said quietly. Out of everyone in the world, you. She burst into tears. It just happened. Don't, I snapped. Don't insult me with that. Ethan's face had that guilty, cornered look I had never seen before. Claire, I was going to tell you. That sentence lit something in me. When? Shouted. After you moved in with her. After Lily started calling my sister Mom. His face dropped. And that's when I saw it. Not just guilt, fear. Like there was something worse he didn't want me to know. I looked between them. Then my eyes landed on the coffee table inside. 2 wine glasses, a half-open folder, and a stack of papers. Something about those papers caught my attention. I stepped past them into the house and grabbed the top page. It was a property document. My heart stopped. The address at the top was my house. A house. But Ethan's name was highlighted beside a transfer section. And right below it, Megan's name. I looked up slowly. What is this? Neither of them spoke. The silence this time was darker, heavier. Then Megan whispered, Claire, there's something about the house you don't know. And in that moment, I realized the affair was only the beginning. The real betrayal was something much bigger. Something they had been planning behind my back. Catching my husband kissing my sister was already enough to destroy me. But when I saw my house papers on her coffee table with both their names on it, I realized this wasn't just an affair. This was a plan. And the most terrifying part. They had been building it right under my nose while I was busy raising our daughter and trusting the 2 people closest to me. I stood in Megan's living room with the paper shaking in my hand. The address at the top was my home. The house Ethan and I bought 6 years ago. The same kitchen where Lily did her homework. The same living room where we spent Christmas mornings. The same front porch where Ethan kissed me the day we got the keys. And now my sister's name was on the paperwork. I looked up at Ethan. What did you do? He rubbed his face, already looking tired of the lie he had been carrying. Claire, just let me explain. No, I snapped. You explain everything right now. Megan stepped forward, crying so hard she could barely breathe. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I laughed bitterly. That seems to be your favorite line tonight. Ethan finally spoke. The house is under pressure. I stared at him. What does that even mean? He hesitated. Then he said the words that made my blood run cold. I used it as collateral. For a second I honestly thought I had heard him wrong. You what? He swallowed hard. I made some investments. Bigger ones than I told you about. I thought they'd double fast. And I could pay everything back before you noticed. Felt sick. How much? His silence dragged. How much, Ethan? 300,000. My knees almost gave out. $300,000. Against our house. Against Lily's future. Against the only real security we had. I looked at Megan. And where do you come into this? She wiped her tears. He came to me because he needed help. The bank was going to take the house. My credit score was better, so we were transferring ownership temporarily to protect it. I stared at her in disbelief. So you thought sleeping with my husband while helping him steal my house was somehow helping? Her face crumpled. It wasn't supposed to become this. But I barely heard her, because something still didn't make sense. Ethan made good money. Very good money. We had savings. A retirement account. This level of desperation meant something deeper. Then it hit me. There's more, I said quietly. Neither of them answered. I stepped closer to Ethan. What aren't you telling me? He looked away. That's when I knew. There's another debt, isn't there? His jaw tightened. Finally he whispered. Yes. How much? He closed his eyes. Almost 600,000. The room spun. I grabbed the back of a chair just to stay standing. From what? And then came the real bomb. He looked me dead in the eye and said, gambling. I felt like I had been punched. Not just cheating. Not just betrayal. Not just the house. My husband had secretly become someone I didn't even know. For the last year, while I thought he was staying late at the office, he had been spending nights in private poker rooms, online betting groups, and underground games with business clients. The promotion was partly true, but the money he got only fed the addiction. Every loss made him chase another win, and every win made him think he could recover everything. Until he couldn't. Megan started crying harder. He told me he'd lose everything. He said Lily would be homeless. I turned to her. And your answer was to sleep with him. Her silence said enough. I walked out. I couldn't stay another second in that house. I drove home numb, barely seeing the road. When I got inside, the silence hit harder than anything. Lily was still asleep upstairs. Her little stuffed rabbit was on the floor beside the couch. That tiny normal thing broke me. I sat there crying until sunrise. But by morning the tears were gone. What was left was anger. Cold, focused anger. And that's when I remembered something Ethan had forgotten. The house wasn't really ours. It was mine. Years ago, my late grandmother had quietly gifted me the down payment money before the wedding. At the time, her lawyer had insisted on a clause protecting the original equity portion in case of fraud or unauthorized transfer. Ethan had laughed back then and called it old people paranoia. Now it was about to save me. By 9 a.m., I was sitting in my lawyer's office. After reviewing everything, she looked up and smiled. "Claire, this transfer is illegal without your notarized signature." I blinked. "What?" She tapped the page. "They forged part of this." I felt my heart slam. Forged. Not only had they betrayed me, they had committed fraud. And suddenly I realized I had them. The next few days moved fast. My lawyer froze the transfer. The bank opened an investigation. And the fraud unit got involved. When Megan realized what was happening, she called me non-stop. I ignored every call. Then Ethan came home one last time. He looked destroyed. No type. No confidence. No excuses. "Claire," he said quietly, "please don't do this." I stood in the doorway. "You already did." He looked upstairs toward Lily's room. "I love my daughter." I stared at him. "Then you should have loved her enough not to gamble away her home." That ended it. Within 2 months, the divorce was filed. Megan was dragged into the fraud case because she knowingly signed forged transfer papers. And the cruelest twist of all, the man she betrayed me for was now broke, disgraced, and facing criminal charges. She lost him the same way she got him. As for me, kept the house, kept full custody. And 1 year later, Lily and I painted the living room, changed every piece of furniture, and turned that broken house into a new beginning. Sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy you. Sometimes it reveals exactly who deserves to stay in your life. And who never deserved a seat at your table. If this twist shocked you, hit like, subscribe, and comment "She Won" for more cheating, betrayal, and family drama stories with explosive endings.